This is the first time I've come and done a podcast and feeling very hip and cool with you guys. Diplomacy is not just me talking to the foreign minister. Of course, me talking to the foreign minister is very, very important. Very, very important. But promoting people-to-people ties, at the end of the day, it's probably more important. Increased trade investment between the United States and Ethiopia has to be based on a win-win principle. Has to be based on providing an opportunity for American businesses, American entrepreneurs, American investors to do well. It's not charity, Business is really serious stuff,
right?
Yeah,
of course.
It's funny. You talk to foreign businesses here, American businesses. How are you doing? Yeah, we're doing okay. We have these issues, etc., which means they're doing all right. Okay. Okay. USAID had been around since the 1960s, and a lot of Ethiopians knew USAID through this side or the other program, and we're doing things in a really different way now. So it can be confusing, but I can assure you that the commitment of the United States government to working with Ethiopia will continue. It'll just be different. It'll look different, but it will continue. Part of the problem with diplomacy is the work I do today won't necessarily yield tangible results until tomorrow, or 10 tomorrows from now. We're planting for the long haul, for tomorrow, not for today.
ኤፒሶድ ከመጀመሩ በፊት የፓርትነራችንን ማስታወቂያ ሰምተን እንመለሳለን።
ብራንዳችንን አሳድገናል። በልዩነት ቀርበናል።
ያሉበት ድረስ ከተፍ ብለናል።
ቦታችን ይዘናል። ገበያ ደርሷል።
አዲሱን ቅርንጫፋችንን ዳሽን ገበያ ላይ ከፍተናል።
ለደንበኞቻችን ይበልጥ ቀርበናል።
በርካታ የንግድ ተቋማት ሱቃቸውን ከፍተዋል። እጅግ በጣም ዘምነዋል። በአንድ መተግበሪያ ያሻውትን መርጠው ከፍለው ሸምተው ደጆ ድረስ ሁሉም በስሪ ክሊክ ታፕ ታፕ ታፕ።
ምቾት በዳሽን ገበያ ባለሁበት
ሆነው እርፍ።
ዳሸን ባንክ ሁልጊዜም አንድ እርምጃ ቀዳሚ።
ኖ ሪል ስቴት ለርሶ አንድ ጥያቄ አለው። በሪል ስቴት ላይ አሁን ትልቁ ጉዳይ ምን ይመስሎታል? ባለ አንድ፣ ባለ ሁለት፣ ባለ 3 መኝታ ወይም ቅናሽ አይደለም። የቀሪ ህይወቶ ማረፊያ ያለ ሐሳብና ያለ ጭንቀት ቤቱን ያስረክሙኛል አያስረክሙኝም ሳይሉ እምነቶትን ጥለው በጥቂት ጊዜ ቤቱን የሚያስረክቦት ቤት አልሚ አለ ወይ ነው። እኛ በ11 ዓመታት ውስጥ ከ32 በላይ ፕሮጀክቶች ከ9000 በላይ ቤቶች አጠናቀን አስረክበናል። እኛ የምንሸጠው ቤት አይደለም ታማኝነትን እንጂ። ሁሉም ያውቁናል እናም ያምኑናል። ያልተገነባ አንሸጥ።
Hello everyone, our guest today is US Ambassador Ervin Massinga, and we discussed with him how he became an ambassador and what does the embassy do, as well as coming from aid approach to the trade approach. How does it impact the business community here in Ethiopia, as well as the US businesses? And we had a detailed conversation with him today. Enjoy the podcast.
Business is mostly risk.
Just start. ካልጀመርክ የትም አትደርስ።
እዚህ ሀገር የሚገጥሙህ ነገሮች ቢዝነስ ቡክ ውስጥ ያሉ
ሞክር እምቢ ካለህም ሞክር ነው። ጊቭ አፕ የሚለን የጋ ያለ በቃ።
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here.
Great. So, let us with our first question. Who's, what are the one incident or one person that influenced your career in life?
Getting right into it. So, it's a great question. I think the easiest way to answer is to start at the beginning. So I've been an American diplomat for 30 years. This year marks my 30th year doing this work.
Wow, congrats.
Thank you so much. And I remember vividly the very beginning of my career. So not just swearing in and getting the diplomatic passport and, going to the Department of State and all those things in Washington, but when I was deployed for the first time as a diplomat overseas, I went to the Dominican Republic, the little island, Hispaniola, close to the United States. And I was a vice consul. I worked in the consular section. And every day I would engage with all kinds of people who were looking to go to the United States, either for tourism or family reasons, to immigrate to the United States, work on business, et cetera, et cetera. And got a good chance to work on my Spanish. But beyond that, I realized very quickly that even though these were individual stories and individual engagements, these were very important to people. And I had a lot of power. I was 25 or 26 years old. In theory, I was at the very beginning of my career, at the, in the lowest part of the totem pole. But I had a lot of authority, and it made me realize that we have to be very, very respectful in every instance working with people, even in situations where you don't necessarily get a chance to say yes, that you have to treat people with respect. And that has really stuck with me. That has really, really stuck with me. Of course, there are lots of interesting stories and anecdotes that were funny or sometimes difficult over the past 30 years. But that one is a good way to start.
How do you got to be in Ethiopia?
Well, that's an easy story. I volunteered, and the then President of the United States said yes. No, that's the short version.
Yeah.
That's the short version. So I had been working in diplomacy for a long time by that point. By the time that this opportunity arose, I was working in the Bureau of African Affairs at the time. And I think all of you will remember 2021, 2022, not the easiest time.
Yeah. Right after COVID, or during COVID, pretty much.
COVID, Tigray War, Northern War, tough times. Really tough times. The then ambassador at the time decided to step away from diplomacy, which opened up the opportunity for a new ambassador to be appointed. It's a long, lengthy process. And I decided, well, I think I know the situation well enough, having been engaged in Washington. I had enough experience at that point, I felt, to be an American ambassador, so I applied. And there's a process, there's a competitive process for a country such as Ethiopia, which is as important as it is. There's a very intense process, very intense competition, and I was fortunate enough to be selected. But that's just the beginning part. Your name goes to the White House for further examination and vetting. At that point, my name was put out publicly by the White House, but then that means that through our constitutional process, my name had to be sent to the Senate for advice and consent of the United States Senate. And that's what they do. They go through my record, they go through my history, ask me a lot of tough questions, make sure that I'm maybe not the best, but I'm suitable to come to Ethiopia. So that was the process to bring me here. And I can say that I have needed all of my 30 years of experience, all of the opportunities I've had in 7 different countries and many different positions in the United States to enable me to be the kind of ambassador that I've wanted to be.
When you come to Ethiopia, you have information, you have understanding of the situation. But what surprised you the most when you start living here?
Just the diversity here in Ethiopia really took me by surprise. Diversity of people, diversity of culture, diversity, landscape, economy. It's a big country. It's a really big country with a lot going on. And even though I haven't seen as much as I would want to and met everybody that I would want to, I've gotten a sense of how diverse the country is, from Chichiga to Jimma to Mekelle to Jinka. There's a lot going on, and I look forward to more.
Yeah, you're traveling a lot. Yeah,
I try.
I see on social media there's a lot of,
I try to get out and about for a lot of different reasons. We have a lot of different kinds of engagements through assistance and development as well as the business community. It's just really important to get out and see people where they are. If I'm here in Ethiopia and I'm in my office all day, I can meet a lot of Ethiopians, and I do a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
But just like coming to my own country, you're not going to know the United States by going to Washington, D.C. That's very important. But, go to our heartland, go to where I was born, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, go to California, go to the states of the Mountain West, go to the Great Lakes. You get to see, and then go to not just big cities, but small cities. Same thing here. I don't think if you don't know Ethiopians who live in small towns and on farms, you're not really seeing the full picture. Not really seeing the full picture. So I don't pretend like I can meet every single Ethiopian or go to every single town or go on every single road and see every single little farm. But the more I do, the more I feel like I'm trying at least to be the best ambassador I can be.
What are the things that you have seen so far just by exploring Ethiopia and traveling across Ethiopia?
I remember going to the Omo River Valley, maybe 3, 4, or 5 months after I got here, and coming back and took a lot of pictures and saw a lot of different kinds of things. And I came back here to Addis, and I talked to a lot of my Ethiopian friends about this. And a lot of my Ethiopian friends were like, wow, I know that is part of Ethiopia, but I've never been there myself.
Mm-hmm.
That experience showed me how incredibly diverse this country really is. But not just that one. Going to Harar, I went there maybe 6 months ago. And just reading, seeing the history beyond, what I'd been briefed or what you can read in like a newspaper or like a history book, but just talking to people, seeing the history, feeling the history, smelling the history, tasting the history, from coffee to you name it, tells you a lot about the relationship of the people here in this part of the world to the Indian Ocean and the Ottoman Empire and Oman and et cetera. So we're all heavily connected. That's not just true today. It's easy to say, you just go and get on an airplane and, go to Asia, go to Europe, et cetera. We're all interconnected. And it's true. Our connections are much faster than ever before in human history, through media, social media, and planes and trade, et cetera. But as a people, we've been very interconnected for all of our history, really.
True.
And I absolutely see that here. I was in Jimma just recently and hearing about the intensive trade between Jimma and Harar. I'm like, wow, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And so I'm curious to hear and understand even more. The more I hear, the more I see, the more I would like to know more.
I feel like it's more of now these days is the speed of connection. There was connection between countries or places, but now it's like just with the internet and everything, like it's became very faster.
But I don't know if faster means better or more.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, let's go back to now the embassy.
Yeah.
So, as an ambassador, what are like the core roles that you play?
A lot. Start off with the well-being and security and safety of the American people, right? I work for the President of the United States, and one of the President's core jobs is the security of the United States. And so, I play that role as well. So when we talk about visas, that doesn't necessarily appear that way, but that is a national security objective, and so I oversee that. But that's just one small part.
Yeah.
Working with the government here on stability in the region, security in the region. We've had that relationship with Ethiopia for a number of years, but at the end of the day, we have very similar objectives. Stability in the Horn of Africa is very, very important. I don't think anybody would say today that there's perfect stability. But, regardless of where we are right now, have to figure out how to move forward in the right direction. So there's that security part too. The business community. So one of the reasons I was really excited to talk to you guys today was to talk about business. Because I think for young people, for average folks, for folks who are educated or folks who want to be educated, a proper functioning, thriving business community is incredibly important. I meet so many people who are interested in starting their own business or joining a business and contributing to business. I'm really excited about that because, I've served in a lot of African countries, served in a lot of places around the world, and oftentimes what you hear from young people, I want to go into the business, I want to go into the government, I want to be a government minister, and that is a great objective to have, but it's not the only objective to have. And we have a former president of the United States, Calvin Coolidge, Silent Cal. He said the business of America is business, and I think he was able to capture our spirit very, very well. Of course, politics in America is important. It's important to create that foundation of stability and of economic growth. But really, the objective of so many people is, what's put in our Declaration of Independence: pursuit of happiness. Pursuing economic opportunities that make you and your family happier and more fulfilled. And I think a lot of Ethiopians, a lot of Africans, a lot of people around the world want to do that. And as I see the opportunities start to grow and Ethiopians start to take advantage of those opportunities, I get really, really excited. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to come talk to you. So that's another element of being an ambassador, to promote the business community, to promote the opportunity for American businesses to come and invest and trade, and vice versa, so that the economic relationship between our two countries grows in a win-win manner. And I think that's happening now, and can happen to a much greater degree over time. So that's another area where I want to be engaged. And of course, the United States has had, over many years, an important role in assistance. When Ethiopia has found itself in difficult times, or when the people have found themselves in difficult times, the generosity and the generous spirit of the American people has been there. That's changing a little bit, not the generosity, but the way we express that generosity. But we have had, from before I got here and during my tenure, important programs to help Ethiopians, to promote economic growth, and to help folks who are in a difficult position. And so presiding over that and making sure that those programs function well and are focused on what they need to be focused on, that's another big part of my job. So I may not have touched on every single element of what we do, but as you can tell, it's a big job. It's a really big job.
Yeah.
Talking to you folks, talking to the media. I enjoy it, but also ensuring that we're able to tell our story in a way that average people can understand, so that it's just not a question of us being in that big square building up in Shiromeda, but that people can understand that we are here to engage with them. Sure, we can't engage with every single person that we would want to, but we want to find a way to engage. And so that's part of our job as well.
Right. And you have been doing actually quite a good job with media and spreading that message.
Yeah, we try. There's a lot going on, and so we try to ensure that people have a fair chance in seeing what we're doing and what we're trying to do, and to be open about it. And so if that means that we're active in media, it's not the objective isn't to be active in media. The objective is to really engage with people, so let people understand that we're here. Look, diplomacy is not just me talking to the foreign minister. Of course, me talking to the foreign minister is very, very important. Very, very important. But promoting people-to-people ties, at the end of the day, it's probably more important.
Great. What does your routine looks like as an ambassador?
So every day is a little bit different.
Uh-huh.
So this is the first time I've come and done a podcast and feeling very hip and cool with you guys.
This is your first podcast?
First podcast? Yeah, it is. So thank you. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
So every day is a little bit different, but I try to start the day with a bit of a routine because my days can get a little bit crazy and it can go really kind of long, and there's a certain amount of stress involved.
Yeah.
So finding ways to keep things relatively even keeled means for me and my family, we start pretty early with some exercise and some engagement with nature. We like to go out to our garden. And then I'll go to my office. I'm lucky that the office is located, or my home is located, my residence is located where the embassy is. So I'll go there and debrief with my team, talk with some of the team members who are here today about what's going on in the country, what's going on in the media space, what's going on relative to in the bilateral space, what's going on in the region. And that also is very important to me to start my day in the right way. So I have a more of a comprehensive understanding of what the day looks like. And then probably I'll have a number of planned and then some unplanned meetings. You have to be flexible in this line of work. Things come up quickly. So if the foreign minister wants to have me come in and talk about an urgent issue, we'll do that. That doesn't happen every day. But there's a lot of engaging with people. I would say 70% of my day is talking to people, either in my office or I go to them to hear their perspectives, to understand their vision for the economy, for society, for culture, because all of that helps me to understand the context of the job I'm doing. So I'd say about 70% is engaging with people. I don't consider myself to be an extrovert, but I'm extroverted enough that kind of work is fascinating and I enjoy it. But that does mean that I have to find ways of balancing that out.
Though as you explained earlier, you have so many engagements at different levels, and specific into private sector development, trade relationship. So, can you look at what could be the top 2 or 3 priority engagement that you have in relation to the private sector?
There's so many. So let me start with something that won't surprise you at all. The aerospace sector, really important in Ethiopia, really important to the United States, really important to the region. Ethiopian Airlines has become the bridge between not just North America, but the world and Africa. And that is growing every day. So, working to promote that relationship, working to nurture that relationship is incredibly important. And it's not just working with the leadership of Ethiopian Airlines, but it's also growing the ecosystem around the aerospace industry here. Right. So Ethiopian Air is doing maintenance on jet engines in a way that's not done in most of the continent. Right. So that means that there are more engineers that are needed to fulfill that industry or to supply that industry, which the more the engineers are working in Ethiopian Air, then the schools and the institutions that produce them produce other engineers that are vital for the growth of this country in aerospace and in every respect. There's a lot of young energy. There's a lot of amazing talent among Ethiopians. And I think that those opportunities are being realized. But of course, can that aperture grow? Yeah, of course. I think the growth potential of Ethiopia is pretty bullish, and I'm pretty bullish on Ethiopia. And it's not just Ethiopian Air. With all due respect to my friends from Ethiopian Air, love them, right? But there's a lot more than that. Agriculture, So I think you guys are in the coffee space. The coffee space is growing, phenomenally. And what Ethiopia has done to organize and regularize the macroeconomics so that the exchange rate situation is where it needs to be, that has unlocked a lot of potential, huge potential.
I would want to ask for both sides of businesses. So for local businesses in Ethiopia as well as the US businesses, what are the initiatives to make the integration? And you also mentioned earlier, how US is moving from the aid approach to actually trade approach.
Yeah.
So that to how do I say, to replace that, it would have to be a lot of initiatives, a lot of integration between the businesses. Mm-hmm. So how can practically on the ground businesses can, work together between two countries?
So it's already happening, right?
Yeah.
So it's not as if there's nothing,
of course,
going on. But how can you expand that?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and that's a lot of the work that we're doing. So let me start by saying, at the end of the day, increased trade investment between the United States and Ethiopia has to be based on a win-win principle. It has to be based on providing an opportunity for American businesses, American entrepreneurs, American investors to do well. Mm-hmm. Look, this is not charity. Business is really serious stuff, right?
Yeah, of course.
And Ethiopia has to present itself as an attractive option for investors, traders, exporters, et cetera, and vice versa, right? So we work very hard to make sure that the United States is a good destination for capital, is a good destination for investors, including our Ethiopian ones, our Ethiopian friends. So working with Ethiopia and the government here and the business community here, so that they recognize what an attractive economic proposition looks like. That Ethiopia is in competition at the end of the day, is in competition with other countries that want to strive ahead and want to move ahead. And so what does Ethiopia need to do to get ahead of that competition?
And what did that?
I think there are some ones that won't surprise you. The customs context needs to be changed. Mm-hmm. Taxation needs to be changed a bit. And I'm not saying this from a position that, my country has all the answers or that we're perfect. Mm-hmm. We're always tinkering. We're always fiddling. We're always changing the way we do taxation or programs to promote economic development in our own countries. I'm really happy to see that there's a new startup act that has been approved. Really excited about that.
Yeah.
I know that my friends in the startup community here are really excited. But probably, even though this is a really important big step that has been, some years in the making, probably there needs to be some adjustments over time. At the end of the day, if you're working for customs, for example, you are there to promote economic development.
What are the business that are here, U.S. businesses that you see?
So, of course, Boeing is here. Starbucks has some engagement here, some of the big names, and that's really important. But I'm really excited about some of the folks that you may not have heard of. Mm-hmm. Back office engineering, back office, high-end service delivery, MMCY. Yeah. Really excited about those folks. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I was kind of blown away when I got a chance to meet them the first time. So it's an industry where they can offer all kinds of services. You need, a phone answering service like at the lowest level, or you need someone to create for you a back office software engineering suite. They can do it all.
Yeah.
And, when you talk to them, they say the only thing holding them back, the internet situation has been kind of fixed. Mm-hmm. The competition in the internet space here has driven up quality enormously, so that what folks like you may have been complaining about 15 years ago, mm-hmm. that's the day in the past.
Yeah.
So that's great. YCF Manning, There's a engineering company or a company that trains engineers to work, particularly in the maritime space. First time I heard about it, I was really surprised. Like, maritime industry. But once I got to understand the business model, it made so much sense. Get hungry, smart, educated folks who want to take their careers to the next level.
Yeah.
In an industry that needs smart, capable, hardworking people. It's a marriage made in heaven. So that's a company it's an American company that's doing really, really well. And I was shocked. It's like, what? You're expanding in Bahir Dar? Yeah, we're doing well in Bahir Dar. I'm like, okay.
Wow. And
they can
been
do
around for a long time.
They have been, and they
produced so many
and I think
experts.
Yeah, and I think they can do a lot more.
Yeah.
I know that they're going to do a lot more. So those two examples are just small examples of the fact, and it's a fact, that there are so many economic ecosystems which are growing and growing fast. American companies, American planning firms, design firms are really good at this. So it's not just the new airport in Bishoftu. Happy to have American industries and American companies compete for that.
Are they engaging
business.
on that project? 100%. American companies?
100%. We're very serious about that. Really want to see. If you want, if Ethiopia wants a high quality airport capable of powering the economy for the next 100 years, I would posit that bringing in high quality American companies to help make that happen sets the stage for exactly what you need to do. But it's not just the airport. That's a big example of the whole thing. But logistics across the board, like American companies are some of the best in planning for and executing improvements in logistics, cold chain, you name it. You name it.
We haven't talked about the right ambassador for America.
I don't know about all that. No, but we haven't talked about healthcare. We haven't talked about the internet. Raxio is a good example of a company that's investing in and expanding in a space where Ethiopia needs expansion. You know, cloud services, incredibly important. Everybody understands that. Raxio is opening the door to that, and I know can do even more. Healthcare. Everybody talks about healthcare. That's true across it's true around the world. Costs can be prohibitive. Service, people have questions about the service of healthcare. So, it's an important American company that's investing in an American quality hospital right here. Roha. I look forward to seeing them come online in the next couple of years. Because Ethiopians deserve having options, so you don't have to fly to Dubai or Thailand. Look, I love my Thai friends. I like going to Dubai or Bangkok and Dubai, all that. But you shouldn't have to do that to get high quality medical services. And I think that's going to change. It's going to change soon.
Great. Should we see on the support that the embassy provides on private sector development, on policy reforms?
Sure.
Liberalization, and we can also align World Bank and IMF engagements as well.
The U.S. and we have supported macroeconomic changes and macroeconomic reforms, structural reforms, and to make it really easy so that the little guy gets a chance, right? When the situation is or the economy is set up in such a way that small businesses don't get a chance to move up. That means prices stay high and average people don't benefit. When exporters of coffee or flowers or whatever don't get the full value of their crop because of bureaucratic impediments to doing so, that means that more of the value is captured in the middle level, and the small farmers don't get as much as what they should, right? When infrastructure is not where it needs to be, who suffers? It's the small farmer, the small person who needs to travel from a small town to see family, that they're not able to do so or costs them much more than it needs to. right? So at the end of the day, we get rid of all the sort of highfalutin academic work or academic discussion about, macroeconomics, et cetera, et cetera. It's all about ensuring that the small person gets a chance.
How about the reforms that now happening in Ethiopia, and how does the U.S. government sees these economic reforms?
Really excited about the securities exchange expansion or creation. Really excited about that. Mm-hmm. As an American ambassador, I have to be, right? The United States is the home of the world's biggest and deepest capital pools. That these reforms can get really confusing to people and generate a lot of controversy where, frankly, it doesn't need to be. It's about changing a system that has come about over many, many years that has kept the economy back. And I don't think anybody, even the fiercest critic of the World Trade Organization or the fiercest critic of the IMF would argue that the economy here in Ethiopia was optimized for growth or optimized for letting the little guy or the little gal move ahead. And that's what needs to happen.
We were talking about earlier about the shift from, aid to trade.
Yeah.
And with that, with downsizing US aid operations to some extent. So, what will be the new, US aid was a modality. What will be the new modalities to implement the new model?
Yeah.
Would be happy to get your explanation on that.
So this is something that we've tried to, discuss in various ways that people understand. It can be a little bit confusing. This is a big change. Mm-hmm. USAID had been around since the 1960s, and a lot of Ethiopians knew USAID through this side or the other program, and we're doing things in a really different way now. So it can be confusing. Yeah. But let me try to, again, simplify the question about what we're doing now and how we're going to move forward. So the State Department part of the House, the part that works directly for me, for lack of a better term, we've taken on the responsibility of administering most of the programs, most of the humanitarian and health programs, also a significant agricultural program. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Yeah. We have fewer personnel to do the work, so it is a challenge. We're going to have to do things a little bit differently than we have in years past, and so we're working on figuring out how to do that. I'm confident that we will find a creative approach so that the officers and personnel we do have, the local staff, the Ethiopians that work with us, will do just as well, if not better, than we have before. I'm very confident. When you give people a task and a challenge, you can be surprised what people will achieve if you give them the authority and the opportunities to achieve. But so there's that. So taking the programs that we currently administer and doing it effectively with fewer people. So that's the challenge of today. As I've said in conversations that I've had with the media, in areas where there is real humanitarian need. And when I was in Shire a couple of months ago, I made mention of the fact that at the end of the day, the only way really to fulfill the trade, not aid approach for those poor, unfortunate folks who remain as internally displaced people, is for them not to be internally displaced anymore. Mm-hmm. Which means, obviously, that as everybody understands, that the political situation that has trapped them for these past years has to change. And that's not just true in Tigray. There are other situations where we have been very active and proud to be so in providing humanitarian assistance. But the real solution for them and for the country is a comprehensive move towards peace. That's what unlocks the door to really transitioning very fully towards the trade, not aid approach. So we're working intensively on the political side to open that door. while we work intensively with stakeholders, not just the government, obviously, top stakeholder, but the business community, both the Ethiopian business community, foreign business community, to ensure that the business climate here is what it needs to be, so that the growth model will be optimized, and that's a kind of a wonky way of saying give people jobs and let the private sector operate, so that folks like you and people that you know can start cranking. Right, you're doing a great job now, cranking away, but you can do more. You can do a lot more. And your competitors, folks like who want to be your competitors, they should join the party, right? That's what needs to happen, so that more of the resources of the country are devoted to the education, health, infrastructure, the things that make the economy go, to make the economy. Coming back to us, we'll continue to work with the government on health issues, on economic growth objectives, targeted ways that benefit the Ethiopian economy and the American economy, and we'll be looking for ways to do that, because we're truly in the phase of creating something new right now, right here.
What kind of engagements do you have with the government as an embassy, on these things?
On these issues?
Yeah.
A lot. So we always have, and we continue to have important engagements with the Ministry of Health on the fight against malaria, or the fight against HIV. That has been true up until today. It's not over. Malaria, HIV, all these issues, mpox today, require intensive engagement. And of course, who's in the lead? It's the Ministry of Health, both at the federal level and at the regional level. But we have and will continue to work with them on these important issues, because we have a lot to share, a lot to do together. The investment we've made in the university structure, EPHI, et cetera, is something we're very, very proud of. And it's not just buildings and computers and places, it's people, investing in people. And we will continue that sort of thing. We'll do it in a different way. But I can assure you that the commitment of the United States government to working with Ethiopia will continue. It'll just be different. It'll look different, but it will continue.
How about the AGOA? It has been discontinued, right?
In September, the law that established the African Growth and Opportunities Act will sunset, will end. And unless Congress and the President agree very, very soon to a new version of AGOA, or a continuation of AGOA in some way, it will go away. So that's very soon. I think we have to be realistic. Probably not in the near term are we going to see something new. But what is new is the new approach to trade by the Trump administration. And the Trump administration has indicated around the world that it is open to negotiations and discussion with all countries, with an eye towards enhancing the position of American workers in the American economy in a win-win context, but starting off with whatever is good for the American people, the American economy and businesses. That's what we're going to focus on. And I've worked with the government here to begin the process of a conversation with the United States on a bilateral basis to complement what Ethiopia would like to do on the WTO, which is global, which is multilateral with every country on earth, but to have a separate parallel conversation with Washington about trade. So in the current context, Ethiopia has a across the board 10% tariff. That's how it's currently structured, which is among the very best that you're going to get around the world. So Ethiopia is in a pretty good position. Could it be better? Probably. So I think a conversation between our governments on agricultural tariffs, what I would call non-tariff barriers, which is kind of a fancy term for, barriers to investment, barriers to trade, so that American companies can come and engage more effectively with greater confidence. We're happy to have those conversations. Happy to have those conversations. It's a little bit complicated right now because there are a lot of conversations happening with a lot of different countries. Okay, we all understand that.
That fast-paced.
It is very fast-paced, but we do look forward to those conversations starting up and starting to yield real opportunities for Ethiopian exporters, American investors, American traders, etc.
Yeah. Okay, should we look at AmCham? You had a meeting with them recently?
I meet with them very regularly. Working with AmCham is one of the most fun things. Of course, talking to you guys is incredibly fun. But talking to American businesses in AmCham is something that I really value because I get to learn a lot. I get to learn about their issues, their opportunities. It's funny. You talk to foreign businesses here, American businesses. How are you doing? Yeah, we're doing okay. We have these issues, etc., which means they're doing all right. Okay. Okay.
Okay is fine.
I mean, there's always better. There's always improvement in the way that, their industry is regulated, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But foreign companies can do okay here. It's not always perfect. Let's just be clear. But it means that there is an opportunity for much more. And talking to American companies and AmCham really gives me a sense of the reality, as complicated as it can be on this, that, or the other issue, but that there are real opportunities and that they can take advantage of them. So we are looking to expand. So as the number and types of American companies involved here, big, small, and medium, expands, we're looking to expand AmCham. I'd like to take advantage of their expertise so that when we have conversations with the government about WTO, about bilateral trade, that it's informed by the business community because they're the ones who are the operators. They're one of my favorite champions of US Ethiopian relations because they're here for the long haul.
So what are the big challenges on diplomacy work that you're doing? What do you see a challenge for you in your job?
A great question. Every day is a little bit challenging. No question about it. I mentioned earlier that the Horn of Africa stability situation is not where it needs to be.
Yeah.
And so finding ways to facilitate an improvement, a gradual improvement in that is that has to be a top priority, and it is. Ensuring that I and my team, we are faithfully executing the desire of the American people when they provide resources for humanitarian assistance. That's a big deal. They put a lot of trust in my hands and the hands of my team. And I can't let them down. So as we go through these changes in how we execute, we have to make sure that we fulfill the intent of the American people while also ensuring that the people who are the beneficiaries continue to be the beneficiaries in sometimes difficult and tough circumstances. That's a start. That's a start on the challenges.
Okay.
That's a start on the challenges.
Okay.
Yeah,
sure. I think I would be happy if you can share a specific, politics and diplomacy. I think one of the most difficult, stressful jobs in the world. Most people they turn their hair gray before and after. You're not good. You're doing good.
All this has come out since I've gotten
here. He looked much younger because he said 30 years in diplomacy work.
True.
I wouldn't guess that.
So I assume you have been in a lot of difficult situations. So confidentiality concerned. Out of that, what is the most challenging moment you had in your diplomatic career?
Challenging?
Yeah, the most challenging one, specific one.
Yeah.
What did you learn from that?
2021.
Mm-hmm.
The withdrawal from Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
I was working in the Bureau of South and Central Asian Affairs. I was the number 2 there. And, getting our people out and bringing 120,000 people out all in 6 weeks.
Wow.
In a fairly chaotic context. It's tough. It's really hard. It's really, really hard. I'll never forget that. Ever. That's just one example. There are a lot. But, focusing on the positive. Mm-hmm. I like to focus on the positive.
Okay.
Part of the problem with diplomacy is the work I do today won't necessarily yield tangible results until tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or 10 tomorrows from now. You just have to get used to that and accept that you have to keep marching on and hoping for the best, because you're planning for the long haul. You're investing, you're planting for the long haul, for tomorrow, not for today. If you're not comfortable with that reality, this is not the kind of work to do. Mm-hmm. This is not the kind of work to do.
Excellent. Shall we go to the rundown questions? So we have...
What kind of questions?
Rundown questions.
Rundown questions.
You have 1 minute to answer the question. Under one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get myself prepared. All right.
Yeah. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, great. One advice for a young entrepreneur operating here who wants to sell to US.
Good question. Let me tell you, when I encounter young entrepreneurs who want to offer goods or services in the United States, honestly, they know better than I do what the impediments and what the opportunities are. Mm-hmm. Ethiopia is full of really sharp, talented, capable people who are, putting in a third gear right now as we speak. Mm-hmm. And they're just ready to go into fourth and fifth gear. But if I were to give some advice to folks like that, be ready, because our market is challenging. Our consumers demand the highest quality, both on the service side and the goods side. So if you're not ready to give that, take a pause, because that's the Premier League. That's the Premier League.
One common misconception foreign investors have about doing business in Ethiopia.
I think international investors don't quite understand how big Ethiopia is. So there might be problems in the Willegas or over here, but it's a big country with lots of things going on. The economies in various parts of the country, certainly here in the greater Addis metropolitan area, is growing in ways that would shock a lot of people. So there are a lot of opportunities.
Okay. What would be like your ideal future for US Ethiopia relation?
I look forward to a future in the not too distant future in which big American companies establish offices here, start doing businesses here. But not just those big companies, but smaller, medium-sized, even small companies engaging in specialized trades, specialized services, growing. Take advantage of the strong, vibrant diaspora in the U.S. and other places. It's already there, but that can be even more. So legal services, health services, IT services, services that I don't even understand, can and should and will grow. And for those opportunities, for those doors to open, that's the future I want to see. That's the future I want to see, where these ecosystems in various parts of the economy grow and grow and grow. That's what's going to have to happen for the U.S. Ethiopia business environment, the U.S. Ethiopia economic environment to grow to its full potential.
Before I ask you the last question,
Yeah.
is there anything else that you want to communicate as ambassador, as an embassy? Is there anything we didn't cover?
I'm sure there are a few things, but no, this is good. I mean, I would want to ask you guys a question or two, but why don't you ask me your last question and then I'll ask you guys.
Sure.
All right.
Well, the last question is like from your work, from life,
Yeah.
from all of it that you've seen. What is one wisdom you wanted to share with our audience?
Don't look back. Yeah, it's important to know your history as a family, as a person, as a country. It is important. And sometimes we Americans are rightly faulted for not knowing our history very, very well. Fair enough. But dwelling on history doesn't create the road going forward. So on a personal basis, people ask me, oh, would you have changed anything in your past, personal, professional, etc.? No. We're all the products of the experiences we've had, good, bad, or the other. If I change just one thing in my past, I'd probably make some other mistake. Embrace it and move on. And, if I could extrapolate that a little bit and say to my Ethiopian friends in the political context, a little less looking backwards, a little more looking forwards, I think would be a good thing for everybody.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. It's an honor to have you here, for giving us your time to express everything and to communicate with us. We appreciate it. As you said, if you have questions, you can ask.
So what's the hottest business sector that you think is going to explode in the next 3 to 5 years in Ethiopia?
Oh, man.
That's a hard question.
The guy who looks at a lot of things. I think the guy would be the first person to answer that.
Here's an idea. Entertainment. How come the big acts don't come to Ethiopia? Anyway, for another conversation.
You have more ideas on that? You can add more.
Next time we come. Next time I come, we'll talk about that.
Thank you, Ambassador.
Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Meri, goodbye.